discuss a few on these questions. So regarding the first question, as Srila Prabhupada in his purpose has been talking about the I and mind concept, and of course, Srila Prabhupada speaks about this so often because that's the default setting in the material world, bodily consciousness, I and mind. So that consciousness is something which is very deep rooted, and therefore so many lectures Prabhupada keeps talking about. I'm Indian, I'm American, I'm Hindu, I'm Muslim. And here also so many things Prabhupada is talking about. It is my body, it is my house, it is my family, it is my caste, it is my nation, it is my country, and so on. So these things are very deep rooted. And so therefore, even after coming to devotional service, definitely these misconceptions do remain. Of course, we can't expect them to go off all of a sudden, but yet our endeavor has to be in that direction. So as Madhusundar Prabhu has rightly pointed out with his example of the Prachetas, so we thought of taking that same example and reading this beautiful purport of Srila Prabhupada. So somebody please read.
Since the sons of King Prachina Parishad were all united in Krishna consciousness, the Lord was very pleased with them. Each and every one of the sons of King Prachina Parishad was an individual soul, but they were united in offering transcendental service to the Lord. The unity of the individual souls attempting to satisfy the Supreme Lord or rendering service to the Lord is real unity. In the material world, such unity is not possible. Even though people may officially unite, they all have different interests. The United Nations, for instance, all the nations have their particular national ambitions and consequently they cannot be united. This unity between individual souls is so strong within this material world that even in a society of Krishna consciousness, members sometimes appear disunited due to their having different opinions and leaning towards material things. Actually, in Krishna consciousness, there cannot be two opinions. There is only one goal, to serve Krishna to one's best ability. If there is some disagreement over service, such disagreement is to be taken as spiritual. Those who are actually engaged in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead cannot be disunited in any circumstance. This makes the Supreme Personality of Godhead very happy and willing to award all kinds of benediction to his devotees, as indicated in this verse. We can see that the Lord is immediately prepared to award all benedictions to the sons of King Prachina Parishad.
Right. So we see that how Lord Vishnu appeared in front of the Prachetas because for two reasons. What are the two reasons? One is because they unitedly, cooperatively performed tapasya for 10,000 years underwater. That's one reason. And the second reason is because they performed their tapasya and devotional service in accordance to the instructions of a Mahajan, Lord Shiva. These are the two reasons why the Lord was pleased, appeared before them, and was ready to give all types of benedictions, and he did give them. So in this verse, the word Sauhardena comes twice. Sauhardena. So the Lord said, Tushto aham. Lord himself is Tushto aham. I am very satisfied. He himself is saying, Lord is saying, I am very satisfied. Why? Sauhardena, because of the friendly relationships amongst the Prachetas. That was what very much pleased the Lord. And so Srila Prabhupada is explaining in this purport, so if we remain in the bodily conception, then it's very difficult for there to be any unity. Very difficult for there to be any unity. Srila Prabhupada is giving the example of the United Nations, as he gave very often. And Srila Prabhupada would often say, you bring cats and dogs together and tell them, sit peacefully in this room. Is it ever going to happen? No, it's never going to happen. So similarly, the members of the United Nations may sit in a meeting together. But what's the problem? Yes, each one has his own agenda. And because each one has his own agenda, therefore there cannot be unity. And then Prabhupada is saying, disunity between individual souls is so strong within this material world that even in a society of Krishna consciousness, members sometimes appear disunited due to their having different opinions and leaning towards material things. But then what does he say? Actually, in Krishna consciousness, there cannot be two opinions. So there he says, yes, there is every possibility of having different opinions. But then immediately he says there cannot be two opinions. Why? There is only one goal, to serve Krishna to one's best. So that means, being individuals, there can be different ways of thinking, different ways of approaching, different ways of serving. That is natural, because we cannot expect everyone to behave in the same way, think in the same way, act in the same way. So differences may be there, that's natural. But ultimately, goal has to be one. As some devotees were mentioning about keeping Krishna in the center. That means what? How to please Krishna. How Krishna will be best pleased. It is not about my way or your way. It is about Krishna's way. What will please Krishna? That is why he's saying there cannot be two opinions. That means all opinions are meant to serve only one opinion or one goal, and that is how to serve Krishna. So if one remains in the bodily misconception and everyone is thinking of I and mine, my way is highway, my way is highway, my way is the right way, then it's all about I and mine. Then as long as one remains in this misconception of I and mine, then Krishna goes away. See, one person has to be can be in the center, correct? In the center, only one person can be there. It's either I or Krishna. If I be in the center, Krishna goes out. If Krishna is in the center, I goes out. Now we have to decide, whom do we want to keep in the center? Easy to say. But then, this is the training. And this is the training, that we don't keep all these concepts simply within our books or within our minds, but then we put it down into practice. That's sincerity. That's sincerity. When we actually transform concepts into reality. And that's what is essential. And that's the reason Srila Prabhupada has given such practical purports. And so therefore, as long as we remain in the bodily misconception of I and mine, as Srila Prabhupada says so often, then yasyatma buddhi kunape tridhatuke goka, then it is simply animal consciousness, thinking of I and mine. And as the groups very practically brought out many different points and many different challenges, which we have been facing and we are facing and we will continue to face if we remain in this bodily misconception. So if we remain in that, then as they brought out points like groupism and my guru and my temple and my whatever. So then, as it was pointed out, it's a very neophyte mentality. It's practically animal consciousness. Two-legged animals, dvipad pashu. That's what Shastra is saying. And so therefore, if we want to come to this platform of, as the last question said. So actually, one has to progress from that first question to the last question, and the process is the second question. Right? So the ultimate goal, what we are aspiring for, is what? This Vaikuntha consciousness. That's our goal. And so if we want to come to that consciousness, and following in the footsteps of Brahma, who had the darshan of the Supreme Lord and the spiritual world, and that's our goal also, isn't it? So if we want to achieve that goal, then it is very essential that we raise our consciousness. And it's not about number of years in the movement. It's not about what services we have done or we are doing, what post positions we have. All that is totally immaterial. It is up to every one of us to raise our own consciousness. For whose benefit? For one's own benefits. And then, of course, that will benefit others also. But then primarily for one's own benefit. Otherwise, the more we remain on the Kanishta platform, the more we remain in neophyte consciousness, we simply cause trouble to oneself and others. That's all. So as the groups were bringing out points like then one is always morose, then one is not happy because one is always thinking, oh, I'm not getting this, I'm not getting this, I'm not getting this. It's all about I and mine. But then that's totally tangentially opposite to Krishna consciousness. What is Krishna consciousness? All about Krishna. What can I offer to Krishna? Is Krishna getting the best? Am I serving Krishna enough? It's all about Krishna. And it's a science, as we've said it many times. And the more we think of Krishna and the more we try to please Krishna, what will be the result? I will be pleased. I will be happy. So the devotee is not thinking about his own pleasure, but by thinking about Krishna's pleasure, he automatically becomes pleased, because that's science. So these are all very important points that Srila Prabhupada is bringing about. And so therefore, if we want to ultimately please the Supreme Lord, as the Lord himself is saying here, tushto aham, means I'm very satisfied. Why? Because of the friendly relationships amongst the prachetas. And so therefore, this consciousness, and that's, think about it, we are every morning, whoever reads the 10 offenses, what is said, what was the last statement? No, the last statement. Yeah. Every devotee? Right, very emphatically, Krishna praying. So that's our goal. It's so lofty, such a lofty goal. Krishna praying. And Krishna prem means what? What is prem? Krishnendriya Pritivancha. The gopis were ready to go to hell. For what? For pleasing Krishna, for relieving Krishna's headache. They were ready to go to hell. So that's our goal. That means His Holiness Giriraj Maharaj writes in his book, when Srila Prabhupada, he asked Srila Prabhupada this question, Srila Prabhupada, how could you go through all those challenges and difficulties? What was Prabhupada's answer? Srila Prabhupada said, I had only one policy. What was that? Everything for Krishna, nothing for me. Everything for Krishna, nothing for me, not something, nothing. And that's the fact. That's how Srila Prabhupada lived and showed through his example. And that's the only reason why he could do what he did. Such selfless sacrifice. He could have peacefully stayed at Radha Damodar temple. He was already in the spiritual world practically. Why did he leave? And go where? The most degraded place, according to American standards, the Bowery, where drunken people lying all around the place, stinking. Somebody was saying the only smell that one could get there was liquor and urine. Such a place. Srila Prabhupada went, stayed. So, that's the meaning of praying. That's our goal. Not simply lip service every morning. That's good. But then one has to meditate on what actually are we saying? What are we talking about? What's our goal? Some meditation has to go into that. What's our goal and where are we now? No problem. But then at least we have to make some effort to raise our consciousness towards that goal. Yesterday we were giving the example of the student who wants to enter into IIT. Then what he does? Yes, preparing. He starts preparing. Then, because he knows he wants to proceed towards that goal. So therefore, when we understand what's our goal, the prayojan, prem, then each one of us has to ask ourselves, how much are we proceeding towards that prayojan? How much are we reducing the Atmendriya Priti Vancha? And how much are we increasing? Krishnendriya Priti Vancha. Then, otherwise, we can have all types of justifications and think that, oh, Mahaprabhu is very merciful, Nityananda Prabhu is merciful, Srila Prabhupada is even more merciful, he has the back door key, front door key, catch the dhoti, so many things. But then things are not just automatic. We have to do our part. We made that point also. God helps those who help themselves. So we have to do our part. And one of the important points is to raise ourselves from this bodily consciousness of I and mine. And in spiritual circles, there's no place for that. There's no place for that. So therefore, we have to rise above and learn to have that broad heart. Mahatma. Mahatma literally means what? Mahan Atma means what? Broad hearts, broad mindedness. So the devotee embraces the whole world as one family. Yes, and even the outsiders talk about it, right? Vasudeva Kutumbakam. Even the outsiders talk about it. Well, what they're doing, that's another thing. But we have the means by which we can actually create that Vasudeva Kutumbakam. And so, again, a very lofty goal. The entire world is one family. Then why not at least try to bring about that family spirit within the entire ISKCON, which is actually one family. Correct. Forget about the outside world. At least we can talk about ISKCON, which is definitely one family. And definitely we have to be proceeding in that direction. And that's what is going to please. Otherwise, by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy, a lot of people will come and a lot of people will go. But then, if we really want to have sustained devotees who set that example, that devotional service is something which is not a temporary spurt, not some temporary part-time business, but it is something which is an eternal activity of the soul. And if you want to show that example to the world, then it's very important that we raise our consciousness by which Krishna is pleased, and by Krishna's mercy and blessings, the Vaishnava's mercy and blessings, that's how we can have sustained devotional service, sustained devotees. And as Srila Prabhupada said, the danger to the movement is not from the kamsas of outside. The danger is from within. Somebody can quickly open, well, I can do it myself actually. But in any case, not to disturb this, 10.2.20. 10 to 20. Okay, read the, no, the purport, read somewhere towards the end of the first paragraph. You can understand what we are looking for. Prabhupada says there are many people like Kamsas who are trying to kill Krishna, but just like Krishna could not be killed, similarly, nothing can be done to the Hare Krishna movement.
The movement will go on increasing more and more, provided the leaders of the movement remain firmly Krishna conscious by following the regulative principles and primary activities of chanting the Hare Krishna mantra regularly.
Right. You exactly got the crux of the matter, the last sentence, but you could read a few sentences before that.
Yeah. The Krishna conscious movement is spreading like wildfire all over the world, and it will go on doing so. Men who are like Kamsa are very much afraid of the movement's progress and acceptance by the younger generation. But as Krishna could not be killed by Kamsa, this movement cannot be checked by men of Kamsa's class. The movement will go on increasing more and more, provided the leaders of the movement remain firmly Krishna conscious by following the regulative principles and the primary activities of chanting the Hare Krishna mantra regularly.
Yes. So, Srila Prabhupada is saying the movement will spread, no doubt about it, because Mahaprabhu wanted it. It will definitely spread. Kamsa class people cannot do anything, but there is given a warning. What? Provided the leaders are Krishna conscious. And how they will remain Krishna conscious? By following the regulative principles and chanting Hare Krishna regularly. So that's the warning. So if the devotees themselves are not Krishna conscious, then they will become an easy prey to Maya. Then who can help? Then nobody can help. Right. So these are all some very important points, and therefore by our own practices of devotional service individually and collectively, that is how we raise the spiritual strength, the spiritual consciousness of the entire movement, and that's how the entire movement will be benefited. Okay. Okay, fine. So now we go to the next question. The principles of relationship between spiritual master and disciple. Many points have already been covered, but just to pick out a few, somebody can please on the lights. So a few statements from Srila Prabhupada's purports. Okay, so we're going to text 5. Okay, so text 5, as far as the pastime is concerned, everyone is well aware of the pastime, how Brahma was born, he was sitting on the lotus, he couldn't understand what to do, And then he heard these words, tapa. So now, in the purport to the text 5, towards the end of the purport, Srila Prabhupada says, even the first spiritual master of the universe was enlightened by the grace of the Lord. So who else can attain perfect knowledge of everything without the mercy of the Lord? If Brahma also dependent on the Lord, he was dependent, then who else can say, I'm not dependent? So, needless to say, everyone is dependent on the mercy of the Lord. If anyone desires to seek perfect knowledge of everything, he must seek the mercy of the Lord, and there is no other means. And another very important statement after that, to seek knowledge on the strength of one's personal attempt is a sheer waste of time. So yes, one must make personal endeavor, no doubt about that. But to seek knowledge on the strength of one's personal attempt alone is a sheer waste of time. Because it's not possible. Because even Brahma could not understand on his own strength. Then what to speak of anyone else? So that's how everyone is dependent on the mercy of the Lord. And therefore, devotional service means how to attract mercy. That is the most important point. How to attract the mercy of Guru and Krishna. That is devotional service. And therefore, ultimately, whatever we are doing is for that purpose. We're studying the Bhagavatam. Purposes. But the main principal purpose is what? Yes, to please Guru and Krishna, to please Srila Prabhupada, by which we attract, yes, grace, by which we attract the mercy. And we have to be convinced of this point, that it is their mercy that is going to sustain our spiritual lives. It's not on the basis of my own strength. It was not possible for Brahma, what to speak of insignificant souls like us. So if somebody is thinking, I'll go to Vrindavan, Mayapur, Radhakund, chant the holy names, and I'll advance spiritually on the basis of my sadhana and my spiritual strength. Doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. Those spiritual practices should attract mercy of Guru and Krishna. If my spiritual practices don't attract mercy of Guru and Krishna, what Prabhupada is writing here? Sheer waste of time. Shrama eva hi kevalam. It doesn't work that way. So, we are specifically making these points because these days many devotees do think that on their personal endeavors they can do that. No. There was one devotee during Prabhupada's time, right during Prabhupada's time, these tendencies are always there, who came to Srila Prabhupada and said, Srila Prabhupada, I want to take Diksha from this Radhakund Baba. Kindly give your blessings. He didn't know what he was saying and what he was doing. Srila Prabhupada was so upset. He said, I have my blessings. You have my blessings to go to hell. It's such a great offense. Such a great offense to give up one's bona fide spiritual master and seek out another. The Shastra is very clear. It's a great offense. So it's just like Madhavendra Puri and Ramchandra Puri. Madhavendra Puri was so disgusted with Ramchandra Puri. He said, I don't know what my destination will be if I see your face while giving up my body. Get out of here. So if we are supposed to please the spiritual master, if that's what the spiritual master says, what's going to be the destination? It's definitely hellish, that's all. So, unfortunately, such basic siddhanta, but even such basic siddhanta is not being understood by some devotees. It's very unfortunate. The self-centeredness and selfishness, when it rises to such a degree that one is not even concerned about what the spiritual master will think. One is least concerned about it. Well, I will be happy going to this place, so I will go. And what you think about it, who cares? Well, it's a height of selfishness. Then with that mentality of selfishness, how can one achieve prema? As Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, then one can keep on chanting for thousands of years. It will only be lip exercise or jaw exercise, that's all. Nothing more than that. One can sit anywhere and chant for thousands of years. No use. This is what Shastra is saying. Shastra is very clear on all the points. So, that's what Prabhupada is writing. If we don't attract the mercy by our endeavors, by our sadhana, by our services, sheer waste of time. That's all. So, these points have to be very clear. Okay. So then he heard these two syllables, ta, pa, and then Prabhupada writes this penance. I'm going to the next verse, 6th verse. There he says, this penance is the beauty and wealth of the Brahmanas and the renounced order of life. Of course, Srila Prabhupada explains that that is ultimately the goal for all human beings, as Lord Rishabdev says, tapo divyam putrakayena sattvam shuddhiyeti asmad brahmasok. Before that, nayam deho deha bhajam nirloke. Nirloke means human beings. That instruction is meant for human beings, not for the others. So it's something for all human beings to practice tapo divyam putrakayena. But then especially it is the beauty and wealth of the Brahmanas and the renounced order of life. And yes, so then when you talk of tapasya, what is the definition of tapasya? Yes, voluntary acceptance of pain for spiritual advancement, yes. So, it is not only voluntary acceptance of pain. There are many doing tapasya. Even politicians are doing. Even the materialists are doing so much tapasya. Here in Mumbai. So when the local trains begin in the morning? 3:30. That means if people have to catch a local train by 3:30, when they must be getting up? So the point is, tapasya everyone is doing. Everyone is doing tapasya. But then the important point is, what's the goal? What's the goal of the tapasya? So as far as Brahmanas, Vaishnavas are concerned, the tapasya is to please the Supreme Lord. That's the ultimate tapasya. Keeping one's own selfish agendas aside, thinking about what will please the Supreme. That's the ultimate tapasya. And that's what Prabhupada writes. So the last paragraph of this purport, Prabhupada is talking about how Brahma was initiated and all that, because the Lord was pleased. And the last paragraph, one who is thus initiated in the disciplic succession is able to achieve the same result or power of creation. That means is empowered. When one performs such tapasya and pleases the Lord, that is how one gets empowered by the Lord to do one's service. chanting of this holy mantra is the only shelter of the desireless pure devotee of the Lord. Simply by such tapasya or penance, the devotee of the Lord achieves all perfections like Lord Brahma. Text 7. So when he heard the sound, he tried to find the speaker, but he was unable to find from where that sound is coming. Tapa. He only heard the sound. But in any case, he thought it wise to sit down on his lotus and give his attention to the execution of penance as he was instructed. Prabhupada begins the purport by saying, to achieve success in life, one should follow the example of Lord Brahma, the first living creature in the beginning of creation. And what is that example of Brahma? After being initiated by the Supreme Lord to execute tapasya, he was fixed in his determination to do it. And although he could not find anyone besides himself, he could rightly understand that the sound was transmitted by the Lord himself. Important points. Sometimes devotees think after initiation, business is finished. Now ticket back to Godhead is in the pocket. So now we don't have to do anything. Now, aram, relax. So sometimes we find before initiation there's a lot of enthusiasm. Devotees will come every day to the temple, Manglarti, do as much service. All very nice. No problem. But then what Prabhupada is writing here, after initiation, what must happen? Be fixed in the determination. The determination has to continue. Okay. And, okay, so somebody from the group already mentioned that point. Prabhupada writes that one should approach the current link of the spiritual master in the chain of disciplic succession. So after being initiated by the proper spiritual master in that chain of succession, one should engage himself in the discharge of tapasya in the execution of devotional service. And then Prabhupada writes that one should not, however, think himself on the level of Brahma to be initiated directly by the Lord from inside. Because in the present age, no one can be accepted to be as pure as Brahma. So one cannot expect that directly I'll be initiated by the Lord or someone like that. So one should approach the current link in disciplic succession. And then further down, Prabhupada says that yes, unless one is so qualified, one cannot expect to be treated like Brahmaji directly. But one can have the same facility through unalloyed devotees of the Lord, through scriptural instructions as revealed in Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam especially, and also through the bona fide spiritual master available to the sincere soul. Sincere soul. This one word Srila Prabhupada used so often, sincerity. And you can see again Prabhupada repeats it. The Lord himself appears as a spiritual master to a person who is sincere in heart about serving the Lord. Therefore, the bona fide spiritual master who happens to meet the sincere devotee. You see, in two sentences, how many times sincere? 3 times. Should be accepted as the most confidential and beloved representative of the Lord. If a person is posted under the guidance of such a bona fide spiritual master, it may be accepted without any doubt that the desiring person has achieved the grace of the Lord. I'm reading this statement again. If a person is posted under the guidance of such a bona fide spiritual master, it may be accepted without any doubt that the desiring person has achieved the grace of the Lord. So what does it mean? Simple Siddhanta, which we sing every Yasya Prasadat, Bhagavad Prasada, Yasya Prasadat, Nagati Kuto. That is the basic principle. So if one is posted under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master, if one is getting the guidance, if one is following that guidance of the bona fide spiritual master, it is as good as receiving the grace of the Lord. There is no need to invent some other way. No. One has to be initiated by the bona fide spiritual master, simply follow his instructions. That's how one gets the grace of the Lord. Simple Siddhanta. Therefore, Prabhupada says the process is very simple. The philosophy is also not too complicated to understand. If one does not understand all the technical aspects of creation, no problem. But at least this Siddhanta is simple to understand. But the only problem is, as we were talking about challenges, and one of the greatest challenge in the execution of this is what? Ahankar. And the ahankar is what prevents one from following. The deep-rooted ahankar. I want to be the Lord of all I survey. So who is this other Lord? The other Lord has come in my way. Please move out. That is the biggest challenge. So in that regard, we were quoting yesterday also, but I think in the context of a discussion, it's good to read it now. So somebody read 5, 12, 14. 5, 12, 14.
But
Okay, you can do the translation also. This is Jad Bharat speaking to Maharaj Raghuna. He's recollecting his past.
in previous birth, I was known as Maharaj Bharat. I attained perfection by becoming completely detached from material activities. Through direct experience and through indirect experience, I received understanding from the Vedas. I was fully engaged in the service of the Lord, but due to my misfortune, I became very affectionate to a small deer. So much so that I neglected my spiritual duties. Due to my deep affection for the deer, in my next life, I had to accept the body of a deer. Perfect. The incident herein described is very significant.
Now, every word and every sentence of this purport is so deep and filled with so much of meaning.
The incident herein described is very significant. In a previous verse, it is stated, Vina Mahatpada Rajo Abhishekam. One cannot attain perfection without smelling the dust from the lotus feet of an exalted devotee on his head. If one always follow the orders of the spiritual master, there is no question of falling down.
Yes, here Prabhupada gives sure short way of not falling, short way of falling down. So first he says, if one always follows the instructions of the spiritual master, there is no question of falling down. Next sentence.
As soon as a foolish disciple tries to overtake his spiritual master and becomes ambitious to occupy his post, he immediately falls down.
Yes. How does he immediately fall down? As soon as a foolish disciple tries to take the position of the spiritual master, what he says? Overtake him, right? Overtake him, take the position of the spiritual master. That means he doesn't accept the spiritual master. He thinks, I am only the spiritual master. So in other words, who has become the spiritual master now? His mind. He has made his inimical mind the guru. So instead of giving the bona fide spiritual master the freedom to guide him, he has handed over his freedom to the minds to control him. So when, as Prabhupada says, foolish, such a disciple is what? Foolish. So when a foolish disciple, he doesn't want to obey the instructions of the guru. Rather, he himself wants to be the guru. So unfortunately, we see all these things happening. Nothing is too strange, especially in the stage. But when these things happen, the result is what? Sure fall down. Prabhupada is saying, sure, it's guaranteed. Okay.
Yasya prasadat bhagavad prasado, yasya prasada annagatit kutopi. If the spiritual master is considered an ordinary man, the disciple surely loses his chance to advance further.
Yes.
Despite a very rigid life in devotional service, Bharat Maharaj did not consult a spiritual master when he became overly attached to a deer. Consequently, he became strongly attached to the deer and Forgetting his spiritual routine, he fell down.
So what was Bharat Maharaj's position? So Prabhupada is writing, now even for this devotee on the Bhava platform, he did not consult a spiritual master and therefore he fell down. So if a devotee on the Bhava platform needs to consult, what is our position? Can any one of us think, no need of guidance, no need of consultation, now I can do things on my own because I've spent some 20-25 years in the moment? What are we in comparison to Bharat Maharaj? And yet Srila Prabhupada is writing, the only reason why Bharat Maharaj fell down is he did not consult a spiritual master. So Prabhupada is given everything in his purports. Everything is crystal clear. Crystal clear. The only thing is we need to read, and after reading, the more important point is to apply. And that all depends on every individual devotee. So nobody else can do this for us. Nobody else can do it. I have to know what is beneficial for me and I have to do it. Okay. Now coming to the third question, we are talking about Vaikuntha consciousness. And okay, before that, just one or two points more. We go to text 8. Okay, in this purport again, there are some very beautiful statements. So as we know, Brahma, he could not see who was speaking that tapa. He could not see. So in the first paragraph of text 8, Prabhupada writes, very important statement. The potency of transcendental sound is never minimized because the vibrator is apparently absent. You saw that? Therefore, Srimad Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita or any revealed scripture in the world is never to be accepted as an ordinary mundane sound without transcendental potency. So Srila Prabhupada often said that. So we are reading Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam. So even though Krishna may not be present in front of us for us, but if we accept the Bhagavad Gita as Arjuna accepted in toto, then the result is one gets the same benefit as Arjuna. Even though the vibrator, that is Krishna, is apparently absent. Apparently absent. Of course, he is absolute. He is always present. But apparently he is absent. He is not physically present. But then it does not mean that the potency of the sound vibration is in any way less. And so the same thing applies to Srila Prabhupada's purpose, Srila Prabhupada's Vani. So if we have the right consciousness, then we get the full benefits of that transcendental potency of the sound vibration. So then it's as good as being in the presence of Krishna, Srila Prabhupada. Next paragraph. Again, very important sentence. One has to receive the transcendental sound from the right source, accept it as a reality, and prosecute the direction without hesitation. So one has to receive the sound from the right source. And second is what? Accept it as reality. As if the Lord is speaking to me. It's a reality. It's not fake. It's not fiction. It's a reality. The Lord is speaking directly to me. So when one has that full conviction that when the spiritual master or our spiritual authorities have instructions, if we simply accept that this is coming directly from the Lord, if Krishna personally were to come and give any one of us an instruction, what would be the effect? Yes, one will do it immediately. Because, well, Krishna is telling. But then the reality is what? Krishna gives instruction. through the Shastra, through the sadhus, through the spiritual master, Krishna himself is giving instruction. That's the reality. We simply have to accept this as reality. If we have faith in this reality that Krishna is giving instructions through all these via media, Guru, Sadhu, Shastra, if one accepts it as reality and then prosecute the direction without hesitation. The secret of success is to receive the sound from the right source of a bona fide spiritual master. Mundane, manufactured sound has no potency, and as such, seemingly transcendental sounds. See the nice words Prabhupada is using. Seemingly transcendental sound means it appears to be transcendental, Bhagavad Gita, but received from an unauthorized person also has no potency. So Hemagiri Prabhu was nicely telling that so many people may be speaking Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, but if it is not from the right source, it does not have the transcendental potency. One should be qualified enough to discern such transcendental potency, and either by discriminating or by fortunate chance, if one is able to receive the transcendental sound from the bona fide spiritual master, his path of liberation is guaranteed. Guaranteed. And then watch the next sentence. The disciple, however, must be ready to execute the order of the bona fide spiritual master as Lord Brahma executed the instruction of his spiritual master, the Lord himself. Following the order of the bona fide spiritual master is the only duty of the disciple. What is the only duty of the disciple? Following the order of the bona fide spiritual master is the only duty of the disciple, and this completely faithful execution of the order of the bona fide spiritual master is the secret of success. Yasya deve parabhaktir yada deve tata guru tasyeta katithayartha prakashante mahatmanaha. So when one has that complete faith in both Guru and Krishna, then all the imports of the Vedic knowledge are revealed. Yes. And then towards the end of the purport, such execution of penance in full faith and sincerity. Two qualifications. What? Faith, full faith and sincerity made Brahmaji so powerful that he became the creator of the universe. Okay, text 9. So here is mentioned that how the Lord was very much pleased with the tapasya of Brahma, and because he was pleased, he manifested Vaikuntha. So first paragraph of the purport, Prabhupada says, there is undoubtedly trouble in executing penance, but the trouble accepted in executing bhakti yoga is transcendental happiness from the very beginning, whereas the trouble of penance in other process of self-realization, Gyan Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, etc., without any Vaikuntha realization ends in trouble only and nothing more. And the next paragraph, executing bhakti yoga is exactly like sitting on the lotus sprouted out of the abdomen of the transcendental personality of God. For Lord Brahma was seated there. Brahmaji was able to please the Lord, and the Lord was also pleased to show Brahmaji his personal abode. Okay. And now from the next verse onwards is the description of Vaikuntha, where there is no influence of the three modes. And right. And all those other points have been discussed about the residents of the Vaikuntha planets who are always young and they're beautifully decorated and they're flying around in beautiful airplanes, and there are the goddesses of fortune. So all that description is there. So we will just conclude our discussions about this Vaikuntha consciousness. And okay, we are going to text 19. And seeing Brahma present before him, the Lord accepted him as worthy to create living beings to be controlled as he desired. And thus being much satisfied with him, the Lord shook hands with Brahma and slightly smiling addressed him thus. You know, Srila Prabhupada's putting things in in accordance to contemporary times. And the Sanskrit only says Prita Manaha Kare Sprishan. Kare Sprishan. So Kare, by the hand, shaking, Sprishan. Okay, in any case. So, second paragraph of the purport, Brahma also does his duty very perfectly, not only by generating the living entities, but also by spreading his party for reclaiming the fallen souls. Prabhupada uses this word also many times. 4 parties, he says. 4 Vaishnava parties. People can understand that very easily, party. So not only he does his duty, but then part of his duty is spreading his party. The party is called the Brahma Sampradaya. And any member of this party to date, is naturally engaged in reclaiming the fallen souls back to Godheads, back home. Last paragraph. Anyone, however, preaching the mission of the Lord in the line of the Brahma Sampradaya is always dear to the Lord, and the Lord, being satisfied with such a preacher of the authorized bhakti cult, shakes hands with him in great satisfaction. So how many want to have the Lord shake hands? One has to follow the example of Brahma. Okay. So we just put these quotes. We already had discussed these when we were discussing the second verse. Nirmatsaranam. This is one of the prominent quality of the spiritual worlds. Envy is conspicuous by its absence in the spiritual world. So we had already shown you all these quotes that time. This is Prabhupada's lecture, and if you want, you can note down 2 references for this, which we had shown you. One is 7:5:12. And the other is 10:13:60. So both these are very nice references for Vaikuntha consciousness and Vrindavan consciousness. So the most important significant fact is in Vrindavan. So Prabhupada writes here in this purport, what is the cause of envy? What is the cause of envy? Sense gratification. Sense gratification is the cause of envy. Prabhupada writes here. As long as one is thinking of one's own sense gratification, there is bound to be envy. And the solution for the Prabhupada writes towards the end is sadhana. By trying to purify oneself, that's how one can get free from this envy, which is the cause of all the problems in the material worlds. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Samved Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. That's exactly what we're going to do. So in the afternoon class, we are going to discuss the most important section of the second canto and this chapter, that is the Chatushloki Bhagavatam. So this is the ultimate nectar. With how one perceives it, that's another thing. But so we know it's afternoon. Actually, I had decided to finish it in the morning section, but in any case, it took time. Anyway, it's afternoon time, but try to be fresh enough to absorb yourself. Okay, Aditya Ram Prabhu, Advait Karna Prabhu.